A man joining us who's a multiple-time Super Bowl champion, absolutely jacked, and a man who might have a little bit more information on what's going on over there in Denver.
Ooh.
No quarterback, no all-pro safety. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Schlereth. Stink, I know you're in the middle of lifting right now. Are we actually in your gym right now? You're in a gym right now?
Yes, yeah, I'm in the gym, so you can see equipment all around me.
Yeah.
There's Fuji. I've known Fuji. That's my trainer back there. I've known him for 30 years, and he is absolutely trying to kick my ass. And there's a game going on right now. As I always say, there's always a game going on. And if you don't know what that game is, you're probably it. Okay. And Fuji is it. I'm killing him right now.
Let's go, Stink. Like, we saw you at Radio Row at Super Bowl. I don't think Fuji has enough weights in that room to kill you. So we're proud of you, Stink. Thank you for taking some time. Yeah. Hey, real quick, obviously you're very close to the Broncos. Cover the Broncos, live in Denver, played for the Broncos, legend for the Broncos. Right now, no quarterback, $85 million dead cap over the next 2 years. All pro, now sent from the safety, from the defensive side of the ball. What are our thoughts on the Denver Broncos, and how long do you think this is going to take here to get Sean Payton's Broncos kind of instituted and going, Stink?
I'm going to say thank goodness, right? Because the way Russ played, the way he's played the last couple of years, he's a deficient quarterback. He's diminished. He doesn't throw the ball in the middle of the football field. He doesn't anticipate throws.
What?
You can sit here and tell me all day long, 26 TDs and 8 interceptions. I'll tell you garbage numbers. Like the things he does, that he's just not good enough anymore. So we've got to move on from that. Justin Simmons is a cap casualty. I understand that, but look at the market right now for safeties. There are 15 safeties out there right now that you're going to get for less money, and that you're probably going to get, more years than you will from Justin Simmons, who just finished his 8th year in the league. So, I understand this is the cost of doing business. I would say this: for all those people, when a great player holds out and says, wait, I want more money, I've outperformed my contract, I want you to bite your tongue and shut your freaking mouth, because contracts in the National Football League should be written on toilet paper, because they ain't worth shit. All right? So when your team dumps a guy, nobody's screaming, hey, we got to do this, and but when a guy says, I want more money, everybody goes, onto your contract. Baloney. If you outplay your contract, sit out and get as much as you can. Hold them hostage if you can, because that's the way this league operates.
Well, Jonathan Taylor did that with the Colts last year. He got his money. Congrats to him, by the way.
Yeah, way to go, JT.
He got his money. Way to go, JT. But you're right. It's a cold business. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I said Chris Jones did the same thing as well last year, and he's going to get paid this year again.
Yeah. So his deal ended up, I think, being relatively similar. Jonathan Taylor ended up getting a lot more. He did. It worked out for him. Now, obviously, what you're saying is what fans don't want to see happen. And, because they played football, you're lucky to be in the NFL. But when days like yesterday happen, and when things like what happened in Buffalo, what's happening in Denver, what's going to happen in 7 other cities over the next 6 days before they have to get under the salary cap, it's pretty alarming, because I think fans not only think like, okay, are we in a rebuild? Is that what's happening in Denver? Like Sean Payton's trying to find his people? What do you think is happening with the Broncos? And how long you think we're expecting until we're, a tough division? That's a tough division.
Well, it's interesting, because people here in Denver are like, well, Sean Payton's a thug, and he made, Russell, he said, I'm going to cut you if you don't take this, injury guarantee out of your contract and all this stuff. Like, for 8 years, this place has been garbage. The Denver Broncos were a crown jewel in the National Football League, and they're not. They're irrelevant. And we keep putting Band-Aids on things and think that that's going to fix it. And I, for one, am sitting here saying, thank you, Sean Payton, for recognizing that this team is not very good. This team does not have one guy that's homegrown on this football team that's ever even come close to sniffing the playoffs. Ever. So ultimately, it is time to quit putting Band-Aids on gaping wounds, and it's time to perform some surgery. And I think that's exactly what Sean Payton's doing. You may suffer some pain here for a year or two, but if you went on with Russell Wilson for another 2 years, paying him that ridiculous amount of money, you know what? You're going to be sitting right where you are right now 2 years, 3 years from now. So I, for one, am glad that they're actually moving on and saying, hey, we're going to fix this thing, and we're going to tear it down, and we're going to rebuild it.
Go ahead, AJ.
Stink, do you think this is kind of how Sean Payton saw this thing playing out when he took the gig, or what do you think he said to ownership when he did have that job as far as Russell Wilson and the future of the team?
Yeah, I think that Sean Payton came in going, hey, listen, I'm going to try to make it work, and I'm going to try to give you the best I can. But ultimately, if Russell does not fit my plans and he can't do the things that I want him to do as a starting quarterback in the National Football League, I need the freedom to move on. And so I think those things were very clear coming into this thing. He was very clear with ownership. They understood exactly that. And I think that's why, you've seen this go the way it has.
We heard Sal Capaccio talk about everything happening in Buffalo, getting callers this morning saying that this was a necessary move to cut all these people. They understand it. They're bummed out about it. So that's how Sal Capaccio and the Buffalo Bills are handling it. Mark Schlereth, also daytime show, I think, every single day in Denver. He goes, yeah, need it. This guy, not as good as he once was. But was there a chance, maybe, that he and Sean Payton were never going to be,
Yeah.
Like, is there a chance that he and, Sean Payton's calling the plays, right?
Yep.
Russell Wilson's learning the plays or not learning the plays, or how many plays is he getting from Sean Payton? What's being instituted into the offense? What's not being? There's so many different questions that I think Team 3 could come up with to combat everything. I think a lot is going to be determined by how he plays next year.
Yes.
He needs to go play in a good spot, I think,
Yeah.
with how a lot of people are viewing him. What Mark Schlereth just said, they're obviously Broncos fan in Denver, watch it happen all year. It's not just him that feels that way. There's a lot of people that think Russ is done. And then that's why whenever Dan Orlovsky and all these people come out and they go, actually, if you watch the tape, he's playing some of his best ball. He's incredible. The team just isn't good. So there's so many different conflicting reports on his style of play, who he is, let alone his personality and everything else. If he goes somewhere and balls next year, I think that's big for his legacy. I think it's very, very, very meaningful for his legacy. So then you got to start thinking about what's the best spot for him to have immediate success almost. And that adds into the conversation quickly.
Yeah, it's definitely the Vikings. I feel like no matter what, that would be his best spot. But as far as the Broncos situation, if that meeting really happened between Russ in the front office and Sean Payton after they beat the Chiefs, where they're like, hey, we're going to need you to waive your injury guarantee. It feels like they just didn't like him, honestly, the new era of the Broncos. Because when he came in, obviously it was Hackett, it was completely different. It was all Russ. As soon as Sean Payton comes in, hey, this is me. So, whatever you do, it doesn't really matter because I don't really want you to be our quarterback. And if you don't like a guy, you take an $85 million cap hit as far as a dead cap goes.
Yeah, it's very interesting because whenever teams get new GMs and new coaches, there's humans that are involved, and humans have feelings, emotions, egos, pride, everything like that. So whenever you get a new GM, they have a team in their vision. But also, if somebody does really good and they didn't bring him in, they don't get the credit for that signing.
Yes.
Oh, you won with Boom's guy. You won with Nathaniel Hackett's. That is something in those worlds that is held up.
But it is. You're right. It should not be the case. It should be, hey, I'm here now. Whatever is best for this team now. And it shouldn't matter. But you're exactly right. There's humans involved.
Yeah, there's humans involved. This isn't in theory. This isn't a in theory thing. So that could also play into the thought Sean Payton going in there. We've talked to Sean Payton. We enjoy Sean Payton.
Yeah, absolutely.
We enjoy Sean Payton. I was on the Colts team, punter, didn't do much. Second half on the sideline, had a hold, we missed the kick. And damn it. But his team beat us in the Super Bowl, and watching that team, especially as I grew older in the NFL, was that Indianapolis Colts team was so good. Everything was so good. Sean Payton able to beat it. Congratulations. And obviously, he has a great shoe game and the way he talks. And we have respect for Sean Payton.
Big time.
But we don't think that we don't know him well enough, but we don't think he's necessarily above that particular thought, too, coming in hey, this is how I want my team to be. This is what I want my quarterback to be. And he envisioned this probably whenever he was off. Whenever he retired out of nowhere and was away for a little bit, did some TV, he probably had a full, this is how I would build my team right now if I had the opportunity. So he had a couple opportunities to coach in other places. He goes to Denver with the wealthiest owners in professional sport. I assume he laid this out. This is what I want. We'll try this out. They had to give him approval early that was going to be the case. So did that lead into a potential lack of a connection between Sean Payton and Russell Wilson? Probably. That's just human instinct, I think. But if Russ goes somewhere and does great. But it's Sean Payton. How long's his window now? What's he got? He gets 3 years to build this thing? 4 years? What is it?
I
think he got a monster deal.
The remainder of his contract at the very least. And don't you think part of it, too, with Russ is he wasn't getting some middle of the road quarterback salary. Like, so everyone's saying like, hey, you look at his stats, like 26-8, like that's not bad. Like that's not what they were paying for.
Sure.
Like these next couple of years, he was going to be on the hook making serious big time money. Like you can't be okay with just like, 26-8's not bad. Like you need a guy who's going to go out there and play good enough to take you to a Super Bowl, because that was the expectation when they signed him. So if there was any like disconnect between those two and they didn't really like each other, it's like, well, we're on the hook to pay this guy a ridiculous amount of money and he's just not going to be able to get us there, I don't believe. So let's get rid of him right now. And then, like that was probably part of it when he first met with him. It's like, hey, if we do have to blow this up, I need assurances that you're not just going to shit can me right away when the going gets tough.
Yeah, because patience is not a thing that's normal in the NFL. But if you have a legacy and you have a resume and you've won before, hopefully people, hopefully we'll do that, because patience does bring some good stuff. Not everybody's going to be able to do Houston.
Yeah,
but Houston had a long time of not being this Houston before it became this Houston. And that was a part of the conversation yesterday with Dalton Schultz that did not get reported about.
No, it didn't.
It sounds like they're in a good spot.
Yeah,
and I hate that.
Great, certainly.
Right here in Indiana.
Very good.
Let's pivot
Top
away.
5 chefs.
It's in all of Houston, in the whole city.
That'll help.
Big city.
Come cook for the Houston Texans. Congratulations.
Yeah.
What a pitch.
And then what's going on elsewhere? They're charging them for dinner.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, just think about that. As Dalton Schultz is like, that did not get talked about.